Hey, hey. Hi, guys. Welcome back. All right, so Libras, let's go ahead and take a look at whatever the more blunt message, kind of like from the universe, whatever it would be that the universe has to say to Libra, that would be in Libra's greatest and highest good to be mindful of, aware of. We have a Seven of Cups and we have a Ten of Swords sideways. This actually says, for something that Libra may think is completely over and all said and done, there may actually be a way to solve. Now, I could read it in the exact reverse and say, instead of being confused about what happens next, maybe it's like two people are actually done with something. Let's see. Let's keep going, because those are alchemical symbols coming out of these cups, which talk about transmutation. See, with the Six of Wands, I think that there's a chance to really salvage something. There's a chance to actually have a real comeback story. And this doesn't have to be about love or romance. It could be, let's say, sometimes great recipes are come up in the kitchen, because we were attempting to make something else and we forgot to put an ingredient in. And we're like, oh, great, I ruined my cookies. And then instead we go, well, maybe we'll call it brittle instead, drizzle some chocolate on it, crunch it up, and turn it into like a snack mix, cookie brittle snack mix. And sometimes mistakes are how we create something new. This just says, instead of scrapping something, reconsider how something could be transmuted into something entirely different. Now, in this case, something that could turn out to be fabulous, heroic. If this is about a relationship, again, instead of thinking, oh, this is over, it's done, it says, now wait a second. What if instead there's another way to look at this situation? What if this either is a chance to grow, or this is a chance to recognize something? Even if a relationship is over, it could be, maybe this is not something to be sad over. Maybe this is something to celebrate, because in fact, we've been able to see how much we've grown through this process, and we understand why something wouldn't have worked for us. Now we have healing going on, and we have reaching new heights. Okay, Libras, story's not over. There is a chance to not only heal, but there's a chance for tremendous success. Now, the success and the great happiness, I'm feeling like this is not about a relationship. I'm feeling like this storyline is hinting that something Libra was about to give up on. They were about to say, oh, I'm no good at this, scrap it. I put in all this energy and it didn't work. Let's say this was, let's say Libra had a plan for, let's say they're in the fashion industry and they're like, oh, I wanted to, create this amazing clothing line. And every time they tried it, it was just, nothing was working. Sometimes we have to step away from something in order to get inspiration. Sometimes we have to almost say, forget it, I'm done, I'm not doing this, this is stupid, and walk away. And then once we've kind of like laid down the stress of trying to get it right, and we've said, forget it, it's over, it's done, I surrender this, that's when the flood of real inspiration comes back in. And we're like, wait a minute. Next morning comes and we've got new inspiration. We can't wait to get back in there and start working with that fabric again. I'm only saying that because she's in this really amazing gown. Whatever this is for Libra, it says, hey, that's fine. When you hit a brick wall, sometimes the best thing you can do is say, I'm done with this. Maybe only be done with it for that moment. Maybe consider transforming what you've already put your effort into something else. But it almost feels like we have to step away and say, I'm done trying to, hit my head on a brick wall and make this happen the way I thought it was supposed to. But what if you have all the right components? You just need to reconfigure it a little. Like I said, instead of baking brownies or cookies, now you're making cookie brittle. You've come up with something new. Repurpose what you already got. And that could be the aha moment. And that could be where it's like, oh my God, I do have a great product. All the planning that I had, all the resources that I used, all of this energy, it was not for nothing. I was onto something, but I needed to shift just a little to the left. I needed to change a recipe. I needed to get re-inspired, and now I can repurpose everything I've already developed, but I was supposed to develop it in a slightly different way. Now that I've done it, here's my big success. Could this still be about a relationship? Maybe, but this to me looks more like almost a career path that Libra was like, oh, I suck at this. Never mind. I can't find a job in this industry. But a lot of our skills are translatable to something entirely different. Maybe whatever Libra's first plan was isn't right. Like, let's say Libra was saying, I wanted to go to school, and then I wanted to become a teacher, and then I got into a teaching job, and honestly, I didn't enjoy it at all. You know what? Great. I'm not cut out to be a teacher. What do I do with this degree now? Maybe Libra's supposed to go do TED Talks. Maybe they're supposed to teach on a bigger platform. Maybe they're not supposed to be in a classroom every single day. Maybe they're supposed to do something online where they just create, instructional videos, a masterclass or something, instead of teaching, in a classroom every day. I'm throwing out these different ways because this could be Libra becoming quite famous. The star can be somebody who's in front of many. That's why my brain went to maybe Libra's supposed to do TED Talks. Maybe Libra is supposed to be cheered on by a whole bunch of people. Maybe Libra was thinking too small with their gifts or talents. Maybe that was the problem. We've got this Two of Pentacles. There is definitely a better way for Libra to not only get peace and harmony in their life, but also get the money that they want to earn. But all of this keeps saying that we have a Libra who's got these ideas, and they were applying these beautiful plans in a way that it just wasn't clicking. And this says, you're on the right path, but just be a little bit more open-minded to transmuting something and apply it in a slightly different way. All of that education or all of those talents, they're not wasted. All the effort you put in, not wasted. But think about how else you could apply it, and that might be the ticket to that great success, like overwhelming success. This really looks like Libra is onto something. For this fictional character in this fictional story, we have a very talented, very gifted character who was kind of being unhappy with themselves, kind of like being down on themselves, not realizing they've got amazing gifts and talents that will really, blossom applied in the right avenue. So we do have the Hermit. I kind of feel like this says Libra needed to take some of the pressure off themselves. I feel like this is a Libra who grinds away and they come up with a plan. It's a good plan, but then they pour everything they've got. And that's, again, admirable. But if they keep hitting resistance, or if something's not working out, they almost needed to say, screw this. This doesn't work. I'm done with this. But that's because they needed to step away for just a second to get that divine inspiration. Sometimes there's a lot to be said for pulling our energy back for a minute, letting ourselves say, nope, I surrender. And then that subconscious brain comes up and goes, hey, I've been trying to whisper this in your ear for a little bit. You could do that, but just apply it a little different. I feel like this Libra needed a minute to stop pressuring themselves. I feel like they need a minute to not let other people pressure them. They needed to walk away and just have a night off. That's what this feels like. Libra's going to take a night off of something they've been frustrated with and say, I'm not doing it. And then I think the inspiration comes in. 10 of Pentacles and Temperance. Oh my God. Whatever this is, this Libra has got huge success on the horizon for themselves. We also see a lot of financial success, or we'll say tangible success for themselves, for their family, for, generations to come. This kind of feels like a really big thing that Libra, even though they're about ready to give up on something, this all says, no, you got a great idea, babe. Just apply it differently. This can be a card of family and of long-term relationship. So let's apply this storyline as if it were about relationship and romance. We really didn't have cards to support that, by the way. We really didn't. We had a lot more inspirational cards. We had a lot more cards of thought and trying to find the way to a solution. That's why I didn't read this as a romance. But admittedly, this card here at the end could culminate in romance. So let's say, for example, that this was a storyline about a Libra who was like, I think a relationship's not working. I don't get it. But we just can't seem to get on the same page. Walking away from something And then maybe even regrouping and saying, now, wait a second, I bring a lot to the table. They bring a lot to the table. In fact, I had some really great times with them. In fact, God, they challenged me to maybe grow, and I challenged them. And now I'm laughing when I'm thinking back to some of the stuff we went through. And now it's kind of like, maybe they actually helped me become my best self. Maybe, although it was hard, maybe this person has been a huge inspiration to me. Maybe, in fact, this situation could be healed. Maybe I just figured some more things out about them. The more I thought about them, the more I realized we got a lot more in common than what I thought we did. Maybe that's why we were clashing. Maybe the very same things that I saw them do are the same things I was guilty of. We could say Libra's thinking a lot about this. They're kind of stepping back and they're considering and they're going, oh my God, now that I see their behavior as if it's my own, I understand why they did that, because it's what I would have done. Sometimes we do have those moments of pure enlightenment, and that could be why the star card is here. By the way, Libra could have dealt with an Aquarius, possibly also with a Virgo or a Sagittarius. But it could be sometimes the person that we think we have the most conflict with, we then start to realize, oh my God, no, it's just that we're two alphas and we both think that we had to be in charge. Oh my gosh, I get it now. They were trying to speak to me the same way I was trying to speak to them. That's why we were clashing. Actually, this person is possibly my greatest ally and support. So we could have a total like 180 on that department as well. This whole storyline just simply says sometimes we have to step away from something that isn't working in order to then be able to step back toward it. That's really what the big message is. It's not about like, oh, hang on to everything and never give stuff up. There's times to let stuff go for sure. It just says in this particular storyline, the message is to at least contemplate, is there something valuable that's about to be discarded? Because maybe just think twice. Is that Celine Dion? Think twice before you leave my life. Before you walk out that door. So I can't think of the rest of the lyrics. Anyway, I'm going to leave that one there. I think that was kind of a nice, gentle, and inspirational message on that. You guys, thank you for being here. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing.